Stargates, often referred to as jump gates, have been a staple of interstellar travel around the cluster for over 2,000 years. When the Amarr rediscovered spaceflight and began exploring their home system, they stumbled upon an intact Stargate. After successfully reverse engineering the structure, they constructed the first modern jump gate and connected it to the nearby star system Hadean. This was perhaps the single most important discovery since the collapse of the Eve Gate, reopening a once-thought lost chapter in the history of humankind. From a theoretical point of view, the functions of a Stargate are well known, built around artificial wormholes created by exploiting gravitational resonances common in many star systems. But that's not to say there's still some conjecture about the fundamentals of dimensional travel. There are as many theories on the subject as there are Stargates, but there is one point that they all do agree on. It's not as simple as it might appear. Nonetheless, Stargates have been in use for centuries, and upgrades to the technology over that time have made them more sophisticated and very safe. Still, some mysteries remain. One case that comes to mind is the Parals incident. While en route to a new post as ambassador to the Amarrians, Galantian Senator Hubert Caesar and his family disappeared after entering a Stargate in the Dom Aphis system between Amarr and Galente space. The destination Stargate Control Center in the Iderian system received notification that a ship was incoming. It never appeared. There were no signs of any issues, and the gate was green. Most baffling of all, to this day a notification is received at the exact same time each day, but no ship ever comes through. Another Stargate mystery can be found on the Perimeter Gate in the Ian Orstha system, where a rare and beautiful visual effect occurs. No other Stargate is known to exhibit this visual phenomenon, and no one knows why or what triggers it. In fact, it's seen so rarely that the sight of it has become near legend. I managed to capture this fabled beauty, but my own words would fail to describe it adequately. Fortunately, there's a chronicle that tells the tale very well. I'll leave it to our viewers to decide for themselves. Scientifically explainable, or something more mystical. Presenting the Children of Light. To the Caldari merchants that shuttled between the core systems, it was considered a good omen if, on approaching the Ian Orstha Stargate, they might witness the hypnotic ballet of the Lutins. Some Galente locals even took to worshipping these strange dancing lights that would on rare occasions surround an approaching ship like a swarm of angels until the jump to perimeter was made. The more belligerent of the Amarrian traders, meanwhile, saw them as mere baubles, strung up in space to calm the women, children, and slaves before the warp drive's wrench pulled them briefly into timeless non-existence. Rumors had spread across the border zone of vengeful ghost drones returning from the climatic battle at Ian Orstha, perhaps to enact a haunting toll for the Caldari secession a century previous. Conspiracy theorists, as is their way, held that the spectral phenomenon was evidence of Jove experiments. Ironically, it was the dismissive Amarrians who capitalized most on the widening belief among Minmatar slaves that if they witnessed the spectacle of lights, their firstborn son would be blessed with freedom. Despite the fact that the detour sometimes doubled the length of their journey, slaver vessels would divert through the Galente border zone in the hope that a sighting, staged or otherwise, would serve to quiet an obstreperous cargo. Some slavers lent the spreading belief further credence by freeing the Luti, the children subsequently born of blessed parents. Others weren't as compassionate, taking instead to neutering their human cargo, often by furtively poisoning the ceremonial Copley bread baked in honor of a Lutin blessing. Whilst a few scientific studies were conducted on the phenomenon, or Ian Pixies as they became colloquially known, efforts were half-hearted. Welcoming the income afforded by the increased traffic, the Amarr Empire exerted its pressure on the academic community. In the end, even the most inquisitive of academics were dissuaded from seeding their sensor arrays around the increasingly busy node. Meanwhile, among pockets of forced migrant Minmatar workers, the legend continues to flourish. Copley bread is still baked by those hoping for release from captivity across plantations and farms everywhere. And in a quiet corner of San Matar on the darkest day of the year, the Lutanlia, Festival of Lights, attracts thousands of Luti families now living in the relative freedom of the Amatar enclave. Of the widespread theories put forward through the years to explain the fabled Lutins, the one most favored by the scientific community is that of superheated plasma escaping through pore venting from the Stargate itself. It is thought that if approached at the right speed, correct angle, and proper warp drive frequency, the vented plasma is attracted away from the jump gate's boson sphere and towards the approaching ship. According to the theory, the plasma's reaction to the ship's shields is what creates the brief, dazzling, and harmless display of multispectral lights. Over time, perhaps due to the advances Jumpgate technology has seen over the years, the number of sightings has dropped considerably. Of the few reports that are made, most are dismissed as elaborate hoaxes. As a consequence, the Ian Ursa system has become something of a quiet bypass for traders, as opposed to the highway it once was. Still, every once in a while, a hopeful soul may be seen roaming around the gate, wishing for a glimpse of that fabled beauty.